I've had an obsessive fascination with obscure and random facts for as long as I can remember. Strange pieces of information that most people wouldn't even think twice about always brought me more joy than learning things that were actually useful. Because of that, I never did particularly well in school. I couldn't explain the importance of pi in mathematics, but I could tell you that Mount Everest was originally measured at exactly 29,000 feet. The number seemed so unbelievable to people that surveyors publicly claimed it was actually 29,002 feet tall. I could also tell you that in 1989, Pepsi briefly owned the sixth largest navy in the world. It sounds ridiculous, but it's completely true. Would knowing facts like that make anyone feel more fulfilled? Probably not. But that was the story of my life. Even though my knowledge didn't bring much practical value to my life, it made me incredibly good at quizzes. All the strange facts and trivia I had collected over the years finally became useful. I even managed to win small amounts of money at trivia competitions in pubs and local events. Alongside this obsession with random knowledge, I developed another fascination, the dark web. To me, it was simply another place to discover strange and obscure information, things far more unusual than what could be found on the regular internet. I spent countless hours exploring and reading, filling my mind with useless knowledge, never expecting that I would actually need it for anything important. But fate had other plans. One day, all that random knowledge ended up saving my life. It started when I came across a strange advertisement on the dark web. The ad immediately caught my attention. Against a dark background was a bright image with large blinking text that read, "The hardest quiz you'll ever take. Prize $10,000. The money part obviously sounded like a scam, but curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see what kind of questions they considered the hardest ever created, so I clicked the link. The page redirected me to a new site that looked incredibly simple. There was nothing there except a chat box and a list of 5 participants on the side. 4 of them were contestants with simple first names, Ethan, Alex, Linda, and myself, Lance, while the 5th was labeled Showmaster. I typed a greeting into the chat. Ethan responded quickly, asking if we could begin now that there were 4 players. Alex pointed out that we didn't even know the rules yet. Linda casually assumed it was just a quiz, though she admitted she had never done anything like this before. Before I could ask any more questions, the chat suddenly locked, and a message appeared on the screen. The Showmaster welcomed us to something called the Death Match Quiz. According to him, the rules were simple. Each round would contain several questions, and correct answers would earn points. At the end of every round, the contestant with the lowest score would be eliminated. The last person standing would win $10,000 transferred directly to their bank account. The message ended with a warning. Once we joined, we couldn't leave until the game was over. Despite the strange wording, it still sounded like nothing more than an intense trivia game. With little hesitation, all of us clicked accept. The first round began with a fairly easy question. What does the word loquacious mean? The options were angry, chatty, beautiful, or shy. I immediately chose chatty. Everyone else answered correctly as well. The next question asked which political ideology used a hammer and sickle as its most recognizable symbol. Again, it was easy. Communism. The questions continued like that for several rounds, and everyone kept answering correctly. I started wondering if the real challenge was simply beating the other players. If we all kept scoring perfectly, the game could last forever. After 5 questions, the Showmaster congratulated us for reaching the second round and allowed us a short break to chat. We joked about how easy the first round had been. Alex confidently claimed he was going to win. But before anyone could respond, the chat locked again and the second round began. The questions in round 2 were stranger and darker. The first one asked about the deadliest elevator accident in history, including the location and year. It was a morbid question, but I actually knew the answer. The accident happened in Orkney, South Africa in 1995, when a locomotive crashed into a safety barrier and pushed an elevator down a mine shaft, killing 105 people. I selected that answer and waited. 3 of us got it right, but Ethan answered incorrectly. Then the next question appeared, and it made my stomach drop. It asked, which one of you is most likely to die first? The options were our own names. The question felt completely out of place. None of us answered. When the timer ran out, the game simply moved on. The remaining questions in that round were also disturbing, focusing on deadly diseases, disasters, and extinctions. When the round ended, the showmaster announced that Ethan had the lowest score and would be eliminated. Suddenly, the chat unlocked. Ethan began typing frantically, saying he couldn't move his legs. He begged for help, saying he couldn't even call for assistance. We all thought it was some kind of sick joke, but his messages became increasingly desperate. Then, without warning, the system displayed a message. Ethan has left the game. Let's wish him a safe journey to the afterlife. The third round began immediately after. By then I was panicking. I tried closing the browser, but it wouldn't work. When I attempted to stand up, I discovered something horrifying. I couldn't leave my chair. My arms and legs could move, but standing up felt impossible, as if an invisible force was holding me in place. The next question appeared. How do you think you will die? The options range from indescribable agony to dying peacefully in old age. I chose the peaceful option, hoping it meant survival, but everyone who chose it was marked wrong. The following question asked about Ethan's biggest fear. I guessed drowning and was correct, but Alex answered incorrectly. When the round ended, the showmaster announced another elimination. The chat unlocked again just long enough for Alex to type two terrifying words. Can't breathe. Then he disappeared from the game. Now, only Linda and I remained. The final round began with a single question. Who should we eliminate? The options were simply my name or Linda's. The weight of that choice was unbearable. My instinct screamed at me to survive, but I couldn't bring myself to deliberately choose someone else's death. So I clicked my own name. Unfortunately, Linda chose my name as well. The showmaster announced that the final round had ended. Suddenly, the invisible force holding me to the chair disappeared. I could stand, breathe, and move freely again. The chat reopened, but Linda never responded. Instead, a message appeared congratulating me as the winner. Somehow, even though both votes had been for my elimination, I had survived while Linda had presumably died. I later wondered if the entire final question had been a test of mercy. The next day, $10,000 appeared in my bank account, exactly as promised. I reported everything to the authorities, but there was nothing they could trace. The bank transfer couldn't be tracked, and the only information I had about the other players were their first names. There were no news reports about the incident, no missing person alerts that I could connect to the game. All I know now is that I will never return to the dark web again. Whatever exists in its deepest corners operates by rules far beyond our understanding.